views and opinions expressed on the following program are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the staff or management of alltalkradio.net.
Hi, this is Lainey Risto, and you are watching and listening to Soul Chat in Las Vegas, Nevada. We're here today. It's a new day and time for us. We were here last week, but just so you can pass it on to your friends, please do. It's Thursdays now from 3 to 4 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And today on the show with me, I have two of my favorite people. I have Sean Wayma, who is the Cree medicine man, moved to Las Vegas, the craziest place on the planet, from one of the most prettiest places on the planet, I think, with northern Alberta, Canada. And Hedda Stevens, who is here from all parts unknown, or what?
From all parts.
All parts, yeah. They've both been on the show with me before talking about various things. And one of the things that came to light in the last few weeks, and with the fad, and I say fad, of gluten intolerance, because there are some people that are sensitive to gluten. I'm really sensitive to sugar, and I'm sensitive to white flour. But is it a gluten intolerance? Who knows? But one of the things that is definitely a problem, is definitely a condition, is called celiac disease, of which Hedda lives with it every day. It walks her path with her. And there's a lot of misinformation out there, and things came to light in the last few weeks that I just decided this is where we're going to talk about it. So we're going to talk about the nutritional and the medical and the spiritual side of this disease. And with that, I'm going to launch into the segment that we always do at the top of the hour, which is, what did I learn about myself this week? This week has been especially challenging for me. It's been like I'm reinventing who I am at a very deep spiritual and energetic level. And just when I think I've got a handle on it, then something else happens, and away we go. And I wake up like this morning, not feeling connected to anything, anybody, not really knowing what to do with the next step. And I wouldn't say lost. I felt that way a couple of days ago. But today it was more feeling disconnected. And I had a vision. I closed my eyes and I had a vision. And it took me back many, many years to a memory that I thought I had dealt with, an incident that I thought I had dealt with. And what it did is it took me back to when I was 13, and Hedda knows because I've already talked about it with her this morning. But I questioned whether to talk about this on the air, but it's no holds barred radio, and who knows where healing comes for people, right? Mm-hmm. So when I was 13 years old, I was at the stage as a teenager where you are flirting, you're trying to figure out what is this thing called boys and that kind of thing. And I ended up putting myself in a situation that ultimately led to me being molested. Now, I have gone through some counseling years ago, worked through many things, thought I had dealt with everything about that. But there was a couple of roots that needed to be pulled up, and that's what this spiritual passage seems to be that I'm going through. So when I looked at it deeply, and I heard someone say something last night where you've heard me Hedda talk about how when I hear spirit talking, it's like the air gets still, the sound changes, I hear the voice, but it's not the voice I'm used to hearing, right? And this voice I was talking about, I don't flirt, I don't know how to do that, it's something that's a lost cause on me, I just don't know what I'm doing with that. And I heard this voice say, you do know what you're doing. And it just kind of went through my head like a knife. Well, this morning when that memory came up, I realized that incident so long ago, would be 50 years ago now, that incident set up many things for me to learn from. It set up a situation where I had a real problem with intimacy with not just sexual, but intimacy in general with people, and I've had to work through that. And the other thing that it did was exactly what that voice said last night. It set up a situation where I didn't think I know what to do. I didn't think I knew what to do. I took my power away in that place. And so this morning I was able to look at that and say, it's time. It's time for that to go away. It's time for me to say, this doesn't hold me to the ground anymore. I do know what I'm doing.
Good for you.
Yeah. So that's what I learned about myself this week.
Wow, you did more work after I talked to you.
Oh, of course, and you helped. So what about you, Hedda?
It was very interesting. I have such a hard head.
Really? Hence the name.
Because hard-headed. Because I always think I can walk water and tie wind. And it's wonderful that we're going to spend some time with the celiac disease today, because it is my enemy day in and day out. And so I was getting really excited because I was getting involved with a lot of different people here in Vegas and doing things that I love. And my body went, I don't think so. And we just had this wonderful 2-day workshop with Lainey earlier in the summer. And I was told during that time, sit your butt down and be still.
I remember when you said that.
Remember?
I do.
Remember the 5 animals coming?
Yes, I do.
And I went home and I did the research, and all 5 of them was sitting still kind of animals.
Yep.
But I have a hard head. And my husband, who's in the audience, you guys can't see him, but
we have a huge audience, by the way.
It's
I just
wonderful
want
having
you to
him
know.
here. He's constantly telling me, don't do too much. Don't do too much, And so that was what was brought back to my attention this week.
Yeah.
Just enjoy life, Hedda. Just enjoy life. Because what happens is it throws me for a loop and I'm down for a month. So that's what I learned this week. Again, be still.
Well, I think in this culture, especially in the Western culture, I think that we believe that sitting still is powerlessness. They equate that together. There's a power in sitting still.
There is a lot of power, though, if you learn to do it.
There are certain animals that their power is knowing when to be still.
Oh, isn't it
and
wonderful?
Knowing when to move.
And
yeah,
that's true. But I think in the society that I grew up in order to be valued, you must be working hard 24/7.
Well, that's definitely been your belief. I know. We've been running against that one for a while.
Isn't it true?
But it is true for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Unless you're working hard, unless you're producing
Sun
in
up,
a
sun
great
down.
way.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And I have to say, and you heard me say this all the time, I really love my husband. He brings so much to the table. And he believes in hard work, but he also believes in taking it easy.
I know. There have been times. Just don't listen, Peter. There have been times when you've said, I just don't know why. I just don't know why. He just sits. I just don't know why. And I'm going, just let him be there. He'll move when it's time, See, I'm in your camp.
He's doing a thumb up.
He's
over
going,
there.
I didn't know I was going to be part of this show, but here you are.
Yeah. But anyway, so I'm happy to keep learning. I'm happy for Spirit to keep reminding me. I'm happy for friends to keep reminding me. Just be still. It's okay. It's okay. But, I'm still learning. Learning.
Yeah. Well, Sean, you're sitting on the end.
Yeah. Well, I have to keep reminding myself, when you feel lazy to do a ceremony or pray, you just feel like you can't. Those are the times you have to.
Oh, yeah.
If something is stopping you, making you lazy, making you lethargic, those are the times you just challenge yourself or challenge what is stopping you. And I had a little bit of a feeling yesterday before the healing circle.
Yeah, we did a healing circle last night.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Went very well.
Yeah, it really was good.
I had that feeling just before it. I was thinking, okay, I had like 100 excuses.
Yeah.
And I just kind of came to this point where I said, wait a minute. These are the times I have to do it. Something is stopping me. So I, changed my whole attitude right there.
Yeah, your energy did shift from the moment you walked in. Of course, we were all kind of, the other person that was there, Wayne. By the way, Spiritus Reiki Center is sponsoring this show now, so I have to mention Spiritus Reiki Center. 3300 East Sunrise Avenue, Suite 102. There, we got it in. Okay,
great.
Wayne will go, yeah, that's me. Okay. that we were sitting there. Is he going to make it? Is he not going to make it? Is he going to make it? Is he not going to make it? You know, and he goes, well, what's you know, I said, what's the plan? And he goes, well, it's called the Laney Show. I said, no, it's not. Sean's going to be here. You know,
I arrived just in time.
he arrived just in
Early.
time. But I know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
It's that moment. You don't want to move. You don't want to get up. That's the time when being still is your enemy.
Yes.
It's actually a choice to know when to move and when to be still.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Interesting, both those things came together here. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you got moving, and I got to be still.
Oh, yeah. Trade off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm just here.
Yeah.
I'm just here. That's
But
it.
you know what? You do know when to be still.
Mm-hmm.
You do, and that's great. I think that's great. You know, no phone calls before 10:30. That's great because you've worked half the night.
Yeah. Or I've
Yeah.
talked half the night.
Yeah. Yeah, that's working. That's working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what did we learn about ourselves this week? On to celiac disease. I think a really good thing would be to talk about straight up, because so many people think that it's just another level of gluten intolerance, and it's not.
Oh my God, no.
Yeah, so give us the you know, as concisely as you can, you know, what is celiac disease? It's autoimmune, right? It's genetic.
It's a genetic autoimmune disease. Usually, if you have one person in your family line that has it, you probably have 5, 10, 15, 20.
And so being autoimmune, everything I've ever heard that's autoimmune, it's your immune system is attacking something in your body, right?
Right. And with celiac, what actually happens is every time even a microscopic amount of gluten enters your system, your immune system automatically starts attacking itself,
Okay.
which is no joke. It is no fun. Every person with celiac, each one, it will be a little different. No two celiac patients or sufferers are exactly the same.
And it's very hard to diagnose, like Lyme disease sometimes is hard.
Or lupus.
Or lupus.
Yeah, it is
Those
very,
are
very-
autoimmune diseases, right, Sean?
Exactly.
They are, aren't they?
It's very difficult to diagnose. It can take between 3, 6, and 10 years to get a proper diagnosis. What's wrong with that picture, and they are working very hard. Like last month, May was completely devoted to helping to educate the public about celiac, because you have no idea what we have to deal with
Right.
in just trying to eat. But with the autoimmune disease, each individual is different. So one person, it may attack their nervous system. So many years ago, I had swelling on the brain, and they couldn't figure out why. It shut down my sight. It shut down the ability for me to walk. They had no clue what that was. I have a cousin who has been in and out of the intensive care unit for over a year now, and she can't keep any food down at all, not even water. Not
And she's
even
still
liquid.
alive.
She's still alive. We don't even know why, because they've
Yeah.
told us so many times she's going to die, you know. But they have her on tubes and this and that and the other. And for me, it's been 3.5 years of total liquid diet. But I have a Chinese doctor right now that I'm seeing in California that slowly has me where I might be able to eat 3 times a week a little bit of solid food. Like I love potatoes and I love rice. You know.
Who knew, right? Who knew you had such a love affair with? Yeah.
So what, you drinking smoothies? Or you just process your foods? Like,
No, I love smoothies, but I can't because it takes so, you know this, he's a dietitian, right?
I studied it in
Yeah.
university.
With a smoothie, you may have 3, 4, 5 different vegetables or fruit. Each one of those things takes a different enzyme to break it down.
Yes.
I don't have them.
So does celiac disease destroy the enzymes? Is that how that works?
I really don't know. I know what it does destroy is the vessels inside of your small
Cilia,
intestine.
yeah.
The little
Sit there.
fingers. Well, mine are flat.
And so what happens is that the small intestine,
It gets scraped out, basically. So
Yeah.
you don't absorb any nutrients.
right?
Yeah, I didn't even know that. They did biopsy, and the doctor said to me, the doctors here are so sweet. Not.
No holds barred radio. Here we go.
He says to me, well, you don't look sick, but you're a hollow shell inside.
You move well for a hollow shell.
No,
So-
that was what the judge said. You talk well for somebody sick.
So where does the gluten? Let's get this debunked a little bit. Where
Okay.
does the gluten intolerance? And I'd like Sean to jump in on this because he started and I started to have a conversation about the shape of the wheat cell or something we were talking about, right? Where does the gluten come into this, Sean?
Well, gluten is just hard to digest. Some people have an intolerance. And the difference between autoimmune, like celiac, and intolerance is with celiac, you can react instantly to 30 minutes later.
Uh-huh.
For an intolerance, it could be up to even hours or even days, weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So see,
There's
when
over 200 ailments that are related to gluten intolerance.
really,
Yeah, gluten is actually part of the grains, any grain.
Wheat, rye, and barley.
Yeah. Even
Mhm.
even there's
Malt.
bits of it in corn, bits of it in rice.
Mhm.
It's actually found inside the endosperm. It's actually gluten is like a general term for prolamines. It's a group of proteins which people are allergic to or have an intolerance to, and
Just can't break it down.
yeah, so they grind the wheat, and so everything's mixed in there. So you have no choice but to consume anything with gluten in it.
so when we were eating naturally, okay, and I mean when we weren't going to Safeway to buy
Yeah.
whatever we needed, all right. When we were eating naturally, do you think that this was there? Do you think that where did it come from?
I have the answer.
Okay,
the answer.
we're going to give it to Head Air.
Dr. Joseph Murray, the leading researcher for the Mayo Clinic.
Oh, check it as
Yeah, hold that up.
Can you see that, George? This is what the Mayo Clinic recommended for me to get to just try and navigate the minefield of being a celiac patient. And he's from Europe, but he said when he got to this country to start doing his research, he couldn't believe the catastrophic mess that was going on because no one was being tested for it. And he says the celiac that exists today is not the same celiac or, that was going on, say, in the 40s and 50s and 60s. It's been around forever.
So it's been around.
What they did is they genetically modified the grain.
Yes, it used to be einkorn.
Yes.
Was the original grain.
Yeah. They were afraid.
It was. I'm sorry. What was that
It's
again?
called einkorn. Was the original wheat. Looks totally different, shorter.
Mm-hmm.
The wheat we have is like genetically modified.
Right.
Changes everything.
It's like a pamper.
Huh?
Okay.
When I was growing up,
I'm trying to make the leap here. Okay, let's go with this. I want to see where
when
this
I was
goes.
growing up, we used cloth diapers for the baby.
Oh, okay.
You washed them, you hung them on the line, they dried. Okay. Then the 60s came along, Pampers came along, and my grandmother said, bless her heart, they're going to regret that because it never, ever disintegrate. It will be in a minefield. What do you call those things?
Landfill.
Landfill forever. It doesn't break down.
So instead of einkorn, what did they do, Sean?
I mean, genetically modified.
Yeah,
food.
yeah, yeah. How does that work?
Well, I guess it doesn't digest the same. Like theoretically, it's like really rough in the system. It causes little minute cuts, like with what do you call leaky gut syndrome.
Exactly.
Any food or any foreign particle that goes into your system immediately gets attacked and identified as
An alien.
foreign body.
Sure.
So they build antigens, antibodies against it.
Right.
And that's part of some of the allergies we are developing today.
And what he was saying is like when they genetically modified it, instead of having regular wheat, barley, rye, they went into the laboratory and they genetically formed a grain and hybrided inside with these other natural grains and got a super grain.
Little capes on it.
There you go.
No legs, big
Right.
capes. Yeah.
Oh, and it will grow and it will produce faster and we can feed more people but nobody ever thought the body hasn't changed. It's still the same.
We're eating stuff now. Our guts, I mean, what does it take for your gut to evolve over time? It's got to be, it's a slow process.
And you got to
It's
remember
not-
too, around that same time, it was not so cool to breastfeed. So those babies during those
Yeah.
times, which is me, they don't have the antibodies and the immune system that maybe my grandmother had because they stuck a bottle in their mouth, which was also made from genetically modified powdered milk.
God bless Nestle's, you know. That's what I read is that in the 50s. And Monsanto, yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, this is not a show to blast them, although if they need to be kicked, we're going to do it. But in the 50s, that was actually, I read an article that was talking about that's what started the famine in Africa.
Mm.
Because they came in and they were pushing this milk. And the tribes at that point were culturally, were handling their population growth.
Mm-hmm.
Disease was getting handled better, but they were bringing this product in, and they said, and in England and in the northern European countries, it was a sign of poverty if you breastfed your babies.
Really?
Yeah, and so that's how it got started with the gentility, you know, that if you were wealthy, you didn't have to do that.
Well, we're
there's
paying
so many
for
things
it now.
that there's so many things that go into it other than just eating. There's this
Yes.
cultural thing that kicks in, and there's the fads and the emotional stuff that kicks in, you know. And on top of that, what about the spiritual aspect of this? Now I want Sean to talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what about what is this spiritually that's going on?
Here's what came to me.
Okay.
When we genetically modify something, we take it further away from the creator. We make it something else, I'll say. And who knows what kind of properties could end up with it. You take it away from nature, you take it further away from God, and you just end up with something corrupt. And then you get what we have today. See, I actually had to think about that, to ask him, what is this? I knew you were going to ask me this.
Yeah. How did you know that? Are you psychic or
The
something?
same thing goes with it's actually in biblical history too. When they tried to corrupt mankind, they tried to genetically modify everything that the Creator, created on Earth, and they basically corrupted mankind.
So they meaning the dark side, they meaning the darker side of.
Watchers, call them Nephilim, Raphaim.
Yeah.
So that's my theory today.
Today,
Yes.
from what you know today, working.
Anything genetically modified is taken further away from the Creator. Loses its natural properties, loses its maybe healing properties, enzymes even. I guess it doesn't really heal us the way it should. Like food should nurture and nourish. This food does not. It actually does the opposite.
Yeah, let's talk about that a minute, because I'm coming out of this, whatever it is that I'm going through. It's become very clear to me that I have to start doing things, because I've got the spiritual vessel is pretty good if I do an inventory. Physically, I'm not doing as well as I could be at all. So it's time to start honing that down as well. So it is about eating more that's designed for us as the Creator designed it, right?
Yes, that would really be. But when you cut gluten, you feel the clarity returns. You can think. You can, your memories easy to recall.
Right.
For me, sometimes I just I'm stumbling. I had gluten yesterday.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know.
I've talked to you when you've said, I'm looking for my next snack. I mean, we're all prone to that, being human. I mean, because it causes. I mean, sugar causes so many things. It changes your brain chemistry, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's what I understand it. I
It
mean,
does.
Sugar craving's a good sign of infestation of something.
yeah.
It could be parasitic. Could be cancer. Candida in the system, which is very common. I say over 80% of the population has it in some form, even men.
Candida.
Sure. Yeah. And they say, well, the Europeans and the Japanese and the Chinese and the Asian cultures eat bitter. Well, they're getting it too.
Well,
I
because
mean,
they're adopting a lot of.
Yeah, you drive over in Europe
the
when I-
Western way. I'm just gonna say Western.
Western.
I don't want to get any emails from Americans.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
the other thing too that is really important to mention to anyone out there that's listening, when you have celiac and you go to 5,000 different doctors trying to get help,
because not many people know about this, right? It's hard to find a doctor that understands it, right?
to a great degree.
Yeah.
They cover it in school, but it takes a lot of time. And,
It's a chapter
and
somewhere.
it's not a lot of money involved in it because
Yeah.
there is no cure,
And
there
there's
is
no drug,
pill,
and there's no medication.
there is no medication. You are on your own. So basically what the doctors will say to you, well, what you may want to do is try taking gluten out of your diet. Most people don't even know what gluten is. So now,
But what does that mean? Take gluten out of your diet. What does
Exactly.
that mean?
So
ketchup
that-
chips. You don't get to eat ketchup chips anymore.
I love ketchup chips.
I know you do.
I think you can only find them in Canada.
I know. I brought them back for
Mind
you.
you, I found some dill pickle chips here at
No.
Whole Foods. I was happy.
Now, if you flip it over and you read the label, and gluten hides in many ways.
Oh my God,
Hydrolyzed
yes.
protein. What are some of them? There's the maltodextrin,
Modified starch is the big one.
the big one. Yeah.
It's in everything.
I never knew knew that. Modified starch.
Modified
That's
starch.
why I said ketchup chips. You're never going to look at a ketchup
Yeah.
chip again.
That includes
No, I'll
gum,
never eat a ketchup
candy. It's in everything. It's a filler.
Yeah.
It's a filler. It's like a lady sent me this thing. I thought it was so funny. She said, if you go to dinner and somebody said, well, how about if I just use a teaspoon of flour to thicken the gravy? And she says, you can call the ambulance and I'll be in the hospital. So they don't understand that we're talking, if I sat at the table where Peter eats his bread, I have to dust the whole table, turn the mat over. I can't touch anything that he's eaten. I had to divide our kitchen. And not everybody is as extreme. The older you are, when you get your diagnosis of celiac, the more likelihood, severity of your system
Well,
has been broke
it's
down.
it's been let go longer. So are you saying if you can catch it earlier?
If you can, it's like breast cancer. If you can get it right out of the chute, out of the birth canal, the best. Kindergarten, good. First grade, good. But if you start 20s, 30s, I was 20 years old the first time the doctor told me, well, your tests are coming up showing you're malnourished. That was the end of the conversation. I don't even know what that meant at 20 years old.
What does it mean to say be gluten-free? What does that mean? How do you know?
You have to really either find a dietitian who understands and will help you, or you have to be self-taught like I was.
So vegetables, all right?
Definitely gluten-free.
They are
Fruits,
anything. What, is there
meat.
kind of a rule of thumb that you can use? Because some vegetables are potatoes gluten-free.
Oh, yeah.
It depends on where they were grown.
Yeah, well, it could be cross-contamination,
Yeah,
of course.
big
Yeah.
time.
But anything that's a grain, anything that be a seed or a grain, that would have a. So what I used to say to customers when I used to work at a natural food, I used to be a natural foods manager.
Yay!
But
Now he makes rattles.
I say, see these? What are these? Eyebrow, of course. So I say brow, barley, rye, oats, and wheat.
Wow.
Anything with those, stay away from them.
However, with the way food is and medicine and makeup and lotions.
Yeah, I love
Oh,
that. Did you see that picture I found that showed the lipstick
Ah,
and the potato chip behind it, and then it said these are all gluten can hide in these.
yes,
you know?
it can. And I must iterate again because some people are going to be out there cussing and spitting. We're not saying that every celiac patient is as sick or severe as I am.
Right.
What
And there
we're-
are some that are sicker, like your
Oh,
cousin.
yeah.
You've been waiting. They've been saying she's going to pass.
Over a year, she's
Yeah.
been very, very
So
sick.
this is not when that happens. When the villi
Go
because
atrophy?
they atrophy, they scar. There's no absorption available. That means there's no absorption available for water either, right?
Water used to make me want to throw up.
Yeah.
Water, it shouldn't be any problem absorbing water.
But if the cells are destroyed, if they're scarred over,
That would be the villi of the small intestine,
yeah,
where the majority of your nutrients are, taken up,
yeah.
broken down to the finest
But
pieces.
the water can
further
take
But
down.
you know
go
what? It
through the
depends
stomach.
on how sick you are and if they've been able to stop
The whole thing.
the attack and the
actually,
inflammation. Water will make you sick. Tea will make you sick.
What were you just
Well,
going
the
to say?
test where they take the was it the endoscopy where they take a sample of the small intestine? They won't be accurate until until they take a sample that has already been pretty much damaged.
Yeah,
I
the
mean,
waste.
Yeah, so you don't know where they've gotten it from. They go and they just
Or if they took them all from the same area, they have to skip around to get an accurate test.
Yes, and
Okay.
a lot of the tests are immunoglobulin, antigens, but even that's not really accurate for celiac test. It could be just an intolerance. The actual celiac disease, I think, is harder to detect. Like in Henna's case, it was like 20 years into it, and she's already lost, pretty much all of her,
Everything.
her villi.
you lost
Well, I
everything.
say that
You
like
have
that.
Peter though.
Oh, he's a godsend.
Okay.
I say that because many years ago, there wasn't a lot of, I don't know what it was. I don't know if the doctors didn't read or what. So if you went in with inflammation or this, they'd say, oh, well, we need to take your appendix out. Or we need to, I have so many body parts, organs inside that are gone. They've gone to heaven land. Because that's how they felt they should take care of it.
Oh yeah, I've got a few missing as well, but I still have my tonsils. I
Oh,
came
no.
through the 50s with tonsils, which
Tonsils
is like
and adenoids are gone.
that was the first thing that usually went. You have yours,
Yeah.
George? No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So it is like Shane said, it is hard. There's some wonderful, now there is, organizations out there. If anybody's listening and they need guidance, go to the Mayo Clinic and they will help you. Celiac.org, they will help you. There is a guy, he's wonderful. He's a sufferer of celiac. He's called Gluten Dude. And he's just great. He's just great. Keep us all going.
I'm looking for a cartoon character
and then when
that looks like
he, you know,
Gluten
everybody
Dude.
has their down days because if you get glutenized, you can get glutenized on the plane.
You can get it? You can get it from the air. Can you breathe it? You have to ingest it.
You have to ingest it.
Okay.
But you can get it from shampoo, depending on how sensitive you are. You can get it from lotions. You can get it from chewing gum.
Yeah, it's becoming more visible though. The GF, you know, gluten-free.
It's getting more and more.
Do not believe everything you read.
I was going to say that.
Yeah. You stole his
Testament to the
words.
product.
Okay, talk about gluten-free.
Who?
You.
Oh, just the products?
Yeah.
I mean, you got to really test the brand, right? The manufacturer. Let's see, cross-contamination. But even corn and rice have little bits of gluten in it, just tiny bits. I guess it depends on the.
You know what the
level
trick
of,
is with the.
You know, intolerance.
There is an organization. There was somebody this morning just sent me a thing. Certified gluten-free. There is a whole kitchen process that they have to go through in order to get that little round sticker that says certified organic gluten-free.
So they're making sure that the way it's being processed or cooked or
Right.
whatever is
So
not
just-
coming in touch with it. Is that the deal?
Yeah, it can't be touched. Or, you know, like you'll read some things that says, oh, it says gluten-free, but then it says, oh, but was processed in a manufacturer that does nut, grain, corn.
Soy wheat.
Yeah, so then you
Yes.
throw that thing back on the shelf because you're thinking they're trying to kill me.
So it's nuts too. Nuts is considered a grain, or is it all nuts?
No, nuts are safe.
Nuts are
Yeah.
safe. You said
Yeah.
seeds.
If you're not
Seeds.
sensitive to it.
Yeah.
Oh, the wheat.
That's an allergen all in itself.
Yeah,
That's
isn't
another
it?
show.
Yeah, that's another show.
Yeah. See, I can't eat peanut butter. The little 7 or 8, little 7 or 8 peanuts that you get on the plane now. That's the max for me. That's it.
I can't even do that.
You know, I mean, and it's painful. It's just not. It's not fun. So I just, after a while, it's more painful than it is worth eating it. So it's not.
Well, that's what I was thinking the other day. We were in the store, and you know, people get in touch with you through all these organizations, and they want to talk about it. And it says, well, I cheat sometime, and I think to myself, you ain't been in enough pain. Because if you've been in enough pain,
Yeah, but
I mean, because I look at things that I grew up eating, or things as an adult now, and you think, oh my God, that looks so good, and then you instantly remember that pain.
oh, I do with sugar.
Mm.
You know, I'll go along, and the best I felt was when I cut wheat out.
Mm.
You know, but I don't have celiac disease, but I definitely have the intolerance that you're talking about because over time.
Well, even wheat allergy, right?
Yeah,
Can be
yeah,
as specific as that.
yeah.
Just-
I don't have that either, but it's over time. But then now let's go back to ancestry because I was having a lot of problems with PMS and that kind of situation back in my 40s, and I ultimately ended up having hysterectomy.
Mm.
But what happened was I went to OHSU, which is the teaching school in Oregon, in Portland, and they put me on a whole grain diet and eating like a hypoglycemic, which I instantly started feeling a little better. But after about 4 or 5 days, I felt like I might as well have swallowed ground glass. And they said, oh, you have a problem with wheat. And so as soon as I cut that out, then things started calming down. Then the PMS stuff started going away. And that was an issue. But what really helped me at that time, there was a book called The Blood Type Diet, which has been debunked
I
by a
remember
lot of
that.
people. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
But what it did do is I don't care whether it was true or not, for me at that time, I picked it up and I started reading it, and my blood type is B negative, which is kind of rare. I think it's isn't AB negative? I think AB negative is the rarest. And then there's a few numbers behind it. But what that book was about was, where is your ancestry? Well, I'm predominantly Finnish, Northern European, and the hint at that time was, don't eat anything that was in an agrarian society. So the grains, Finland, I mean, it's too cold. You could grow a certain amount.
Fish.
Yeah, a lot of fish. They said the meat that I should eat in that one was lamb, which I can't stand the smell of because thanks to my grandmother,
love
I know.
lamb.
We've had this conversation. Yeah,
I love
yeah.
lamb.
A lot of deep cold water fish, you know, like herring and like salmon. A reindeer, I could eat reindeer, which you can find so easy to find at Safeway. You know.
I did.
Yeah. Well,
Safeway has it?
No.
Oh, she was being facetious.
I was, yeah. But the point is that my point with going to all of that is look at your ancestry. It's not that long ago. We haven't evolved that much. Our guts have not evolved that much. I got a lot of relief. They also told me to stay away from tomatoes. You can't grow tomatoes, and Finland doesn't grow real well, you know.
Well, this disease runs through my family like a river. It's just amazing.
Is it tied to ancestry in any form? Is there a certain line that it comes through? Is it Celtic? Irish,
I really
Scottish,
don't know. On
European?
my mother's side, on my father's side, they're both from the Choctaw Nations down in Louisiana. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I just know it runs through them like a
the women.
river. Well, my father, last time I talked to him, which was many years ago, he was just getting out of the hospital having part of his intestines removed.
Which is part of that's what they do if
That
they
is
don't know what else to do, right?
That's right.
Interesting.
Isn't it?
So I see this look on your face. What are you thinking?
Well, I'm learning too. See?
Yeah.
Heather knows a lot, but I was looking at her 5 most important things you must know. Did we cover this?
No, we did not.
Yeah, let's do that then.
Okay, Sean.
It's your list.
Yeah, it's your list.
Well,
I'll support you.
Well, say them and then say what you think about it.
Okay, well, tiny amounts of gluten trigger big reactions, which is true. That would be the autoimmune reaction.
Right.
That's how you distinguish
Sudden.
it.
Yeah.
From an intolerance. Nutritional deficiencies. That's because of the villi in the small intestine get pretty much
You're not getting what you need, right?
That can happen through iodized salt. From what I heard the
Yeah.
crystals.
Now there's this. Now everybody's on sea salt. Everybody's going to sea salt now.
Yeah,
That's
Himalayan-
old. That happened in the
Himalayan
70s
pink
too.
salt.
Yeah.
Bone loss and weakness are common. Wow, osteopenia. That's interesting. Nutritional and drug malabsorption are common. A lot of these things have gluten in them, right? The fillers. I can see that, yeah.
It's very difficult for me to take medication. My oncologist discovered that my body wasn't even absorbing the medication they were used to try to help me to recover from cancer. It's been an interesting ride.
Wow, Hedda. And here you are, strong.
Yeah. Don't talk to the judge. This is finish the list and then we'll tell them what the judge said
Well,
when
see,
she.
celiac disease can impair the effectiveness of certain drugs. Now, that's interesting. Based on the molecular properties. That is interesting.
Isn't it? Let me tell you an interesting story too. My pharmacist helped me with this one because they were trying to give me a medicine that was going to help me get more oxygen in my lungs. Story's too long. But anyway, fluid around my heart, growth on my lungs. Got it? Okay, so the doctor says, get this medicine. But the pharmacist said, no, you can't take that, Hedda. Why? He says it's a miracle drug. It's going to help me. Well, it's laced in wheat. Okay, we called and we called India, we called all these pharmacy places, and the place in India made the drug, and it didn't have wheat around it.
And so you got it?
No,
Oh.
because the place in China did it with the Okay, so when they are delivered to the United States, and there is a place where they all come in, they dump them all together.
Oh, it gets cross-contamination.
There you go.
Wow.
Yeah. So to date, I still don't have that medicine. I just meditate and pray a lot.
Now, let's talk, because we only have like about 10 minutes left, maybe, huh? Yeah.
10 minutes.
Let's talk about, we've talked a lot about what you can't do. What can you do? Because I know the spiritual side has helped you a lot.
Oh, saved my life, I think.
Yeah.
I really do, because I guess we've known each other 3 years.
I don't know. Yeah, I think
Came
so.
from the doctor's office, and she said they've run this whole gamut of tests, and she says, really, there is nothing we can do for you. Only thing I can tell you is get your affairs in order. So...
Yeah, I remember that. I remember you coming in and telling me
so
that.
I'm telling Peter, and he's, saying all kinds of things. And so, so there was a traditional Chinese medical doctor that her and her husband that I know very well in California, who had saved my life before with the brain swelling. He said, let's call her. We got in the car. Next morning, we drove there. She saw me, and she says, oh, my God, it's worse than before. That wasn't quite what we wanted to hear.
No.
So it was hard, because your body, when they take you off of gluten, it has to go through a detox, and it's very painful. It could kill you. It really could.
Yeah.
So I told Peter, to keep my sanity, I hope you don't think I'm crazy, but I'm going to some way, somehow find the spiritual aspect of it and just try to focus. At least I'm going to go out close to God. And so that's what I did. I came to you. I, did whatever I needed to do to just help me stay sane.
Well, I think we've done. What's really interesting to me is it comes back around full circle to what Sean was talking about. Is that this is introduced, and they are introducing sugar and processed flour and wheat, and it's diminishing people, and it's taking you away from the Creator. So what has helped you most is working on the spiritual side that brings you more
spiritual food.
Yeah, because that's all I can do. There is, it's like you can stop being an alcoholic, but you've already done damage to your liver,
right,
and all those other organs.
Yeah,
and it can't be reversed. You can live better, which may help you live longer, but you can't undo the damage. So the damage that my body has now, we know it's genetic. We know it's years of being wrong diagnosis, wrong medicine, too many surgeries. It is what it is. But spiritually, it keeps me on the ground. Because you could easily lose your mind from all these complications.
So it physically has gotten better only because you have taken yourself out of stress. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, it's very important. Stress is not our friend. Stress is not our friend.
Yeah, okay. So going back to the Creator, which is really interesting to me, because it's like Sean said, you're eating something that's taking you farther away. If you want to believe in the dark side or the dark force or whatever it is you want to believe in, because there is a denser energy. There definitely is a denser energy. Call it what you want. That tries to push its way in and push it out of balance. That's this reality.
That's
live in
just
this reality. That's what happens. So working
and
on
that's
this,
been around forever, right, Sean? The two forces.
well, this reality reality.
Yeah. Two forces, yeah.
The two
As long as
forces.
this reality exists, it's going to.
Right.
And this, this GMO foods. I mean, their take on it is the human race is populating the planet. We're like 11 billion or more, right?
Yeah.
And just to keep up with the food supply, they say GMO food are necessary.
Yeah.
However,
here it comes.
there was I'm sure he's dead now because he was 90 when I was seeing him, a homeopathic doctor down in Escondido, California. And he had been a medical doctor, and he said he just got sick of seeing his patients die. And what he says is if you eat dead food, cooked, boiled, fried,
Right.
then you're going to be dead. You eat live, healthy food. Shop the outside aisles of the store. Don't go down the aisle.
I can't tell you the last time I bought a can of something. Tuna, maybe, and that was it, but I stopped doing that a long time ago.
Yeah,
but
that's true, though, yeah. Shop the outside. Shop the perimeter.
Shop the
shop the
perimeter.
perimeter.
But I'll go down the snack aisle. Okay?
It's those ketchup chips.
I'll do that.
He's looking for ketchup
I love
chips.
figs.
Figs are good.
And we just found real, certified,
good.
gluten-free
So
fig cookies.
Is really?
Barbara's?
Oh my gosh! It's a party time at
Pamela.
Pamela, okay, Pamela. That's good stuff.
Whole
Yeah.
Foods.
Yeah. Lundberg makes a really good rice chips.
Who?
Lundberg?
Lundberg, yeah.
Good.
Yeah,
chips.
yeah,
You gotta try
yeah.
them out.
So I don't want to run out of time here. I mean, there's some things I want to talk about, say real briefly, but tell them the judgment. I'm gonna summarize it here. Hedda just went through what, 3 years? We went through 3 years.
No, we're on 5.
5 years of trying to get disability because you're somebody that worked. You worked.
I was working at the time the doctors told me.
That's right.
You need to apply for disability.
Right. So the doctors suggested
4 of them.
4 of them that you apply for disability, and you went through this process, and you just went to court last December?
Yeah, December 17th.
December, and I remember talking to you the day that you came out.
Yeah.
And you said this was not a good experience.
Oh,
that
it was
this was
awful.
It was
It was
awful.
awful.
Because he looked at you and said, "Well, you don't look sick, right?"
You don't look sick.
Now he had a whole file full of doctors' testimonials and papers and whatever. And I'm making it real short here.
Go right ahead.
So the judgment came down, and when was that? Just a month or 2 ago? That's what instigated me thinking we got to bring this on the show.
Yeah, it took 5 months to get his judgment.
And his judgment was, you get to say it because it's yours. It's yours.
Your primary problem is you're obese.
And so what you needed to do was lose weight.
Right.
And I remember being on the phone with Hedda and her saying, "What am I supposed to do? I can't eat now." How do you do that?
So Peter and I have always used humor
Oh, you have to.
Yes. With the cancer, I said, I could be sitting here bald. And we just bust up and start laughing. So we use humor a lot. And so for weeks, we kept calling each other obese.
Great.
Peter
Great.
is far
Yeah,
from
yeah.
that. Very lean.
Yeah. So
there we go.
How ludicrous. And that's what I said. We got to do something, even if we just bring it on Soul Chat. So I'd like each of us to say something about, Sean, what do you think after talking? This 45 minutes just went like crazy. So what do you think about everything we've talked about? You got any thoughts you want to say? Just in general to people that if you're dealing with it?
Well, to deal with it?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Ahead is a really good example. Mm-hmm. Very resilient. Mm-hmm. But I don't think she would have made it this far and looked this great without her whole attitude.
Yes.
I agree.
Her personality. She's always laughing.
Yeah.
And she's spiritual, events and activities.
Yeah.
So I think that, in itself is pretty much how you handle it.
And I really appreciate you acknowledging that, because I said to the doctor not too long ago, can I stop taking all the liquid vitamins and the shots and this and that? And he says, no, because you don't have a reserve. So if you stop, you're going to go down real fast. So the only thing that I do is the spiritual activities that you see. The rest of the time, I'm in the house knitting.
I know. She knits great stuff, too. She's on Etsy. So what about you? What do you want to say? One last thing you want to say?
I want to say thank you so much for supporting the celiac community and organization, because some people are really super sick. I mean, they got feeding tubes, they got pouches, and we're talking
pouches. They're having pouches. I want people to understand this, because they've cut out part of their bowel.
Yeah.
And they're wearing a pouch to defecate in, because they can't do it any other way.
Yeah.
Living like that,
and
there's
being
a
25,
whole emotional piece that goes with that.
Graduating with a pouch under your, and so when we try to go out to dinner or to some function, and we inquire, do you have a gluten-free menu? And people roll their eyes in the back of their head. We didn't ask for your blood.
Yeah.
We just asked for a menu. If you don't have it, that's okay.
Yeah.
But people take it so personal that individuals with celiac, really, it's life and death. They need to have certified gluten-free food. Right. Otherwise, in just a little bit, we're not talking about I'm going to be sick for a couple of days. It's going to take me a month to recover. I'm going to swell like crazy. Fluid is going to be around my heart, crushing it. Peter's the only person that knows this nightmare that we live through.
Right. There are other people out there that know it as well. And the goal, and what I'm going to say about this, is that I think that this is, again, we're coming back to a balance. You got to have a balance. You got to have a balance of the spiritual. You got to have a balance of the nutritional things you're taking in, as Sean brought up about, getting closer to Creator, and you do the best you can. Don't beat yourself up because you're not doing it perfect, but do the best you can. But the other thing is there is a big difference between gluten intolerance and this disease.
Oh, yeah.
And so to jump on the bandwagon and say, oh, I'm gluten intolerant, you need to do some research. You need to go at it with an intention of being the healthiest you can be. Because you've told me gluten-free diets are not the healthiest thing in the world.
I'm so happy you brought that up. It is not, because you're not getting the nutrients that your body needs to thrive.
So it isn't one thing that's going to cure it. No. It's going to be the balance.
There is can you show your water container? It's very expensive. I have to drink every day of my life a container this full of mixtures of liquid supplements in order to make
gluten-free water.
So it is not a healthy way of eating, and the doctors at the Mayo Clinic confirms it's not the healthiest way to eat. If you don't medically need to eat this way, please don't do it. It's not a diet. It's not a fad.
Yeah, so there isn't any one thing that's going to bring you into perfect balance in your life. Just because you don't eat gluten doesn't mean your life is going to miraculously turn around. You're going to be closer to God. You're going to, it's a balance in all things, and I think it's a process.
And it's like Sean said, I did have to do a mind adjustment because I was so mad.
Yeah.
Just mad.
I can't imagine you that.
Oh,
you're such a.
We came to Vegas to ride off into the sunset and be happy, and we're fighting cancer and celiac, and so I had to adjust. Spirit helped me.
We got about 3 minutes left. So tell them there is an organization, and you actually work through. Are you willing to talk to people if they have an issue with this, or where can they go to find help?
Well, I went to celiac.org. That is an organization that you can go to. It's NFCA, and it's, or you can go to the Mayo Clinic online and type in.
Let's hold that book up one more time here.
Gluten-free.
Hold that out there. Let's hold that up there. You got that, Georgia? Okay.
Okay. But this was the book that showed me I could keep living, because I was right on the edge of giving up. This young lady was a movie star, and she suffered greatly. She still suffers. She just got out of the hospital like in January or something. But Jennifer Espinito, you can get in touch with her.
Esposito?
Esposito?
Esposito.
Yeah.
I remember watching her on TV. Yeah.
On, what was it, honey? Blue something? Blue Bloods. They can contact me. I'm on Etsy. I'm also, it's S. Hedelin at ymail.com. They're more than welcome to email me.
Sure.
And it's really something. And you do need support.
You do need support.
You do need support.
This is not something to do by yourself.
No, it's not. Okay. And don't blame your family because they don't understand, because it's hard to understand.
So Sean, he's going to be teaching at what month are we in? June. Yeah, Spiritus Reiki Center. June 19th. He's teaching a smudging class.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will be there.
And I'm going to be there. And that's at 3300 East Sunrise Avenue, Suite 102, and that's one of the sponsors of our show. So check them out. I'm Lainey Risto. You can call me at 702-308-8464. I'm going to be teaching a healing circle on June 24th at Spiritus Reiki Center, just like Sean did last night. A little different. Sean's version and my version are two different things, but they're both good. And I'm also teaching a 2-day workshop at the end of the month there, 26th and 27th. It's called The Great Transition, Death and Dying, and we're going to explore what is this really all about from a spiritual standpoint. This week, if you think you have a gluten intolerance, check it out. Don't just jump on the bandwagon and see if that's what's, and just say, I'm going to go gluten intolerant now. My life is going to be 100% well. It's a balance. It's called taking authority in your life and checking it out. Have a great week. Thank you so much for listening. See you next week. Bye.
Have a good week.
Everybody wave. Everybody's got to wave. Wave, Sean. You can
Thank
do
you
it.
for
There you go.
listening.
See ya. Bye.
Stories that